default because
No,
I actually
Live
had to
on YouTube, hitting that button. All right. Good.
You sound a little loud.
Get these links out.
Let's see here. I'll retweet. Okay. We're a little late. Sorry about that. We're having a little bit of what wouldn't it be without some technical difficulties? Actually, in my case, it was more of a practical one. It's like you can eat now or not. It's like probably should eat before you do a podcast that's hours long. Everybody I know is like sick right now. Everybody's like got like a cold or stuffed up or
probably allergies.
Well, it depends. In my area, that would definitely be true. But like, if you live way out west, I doubt it. Air's a lot. Retweet.
All right, we are
reblog.
Oh,
no.
Cells at work.
Got that.
I still like your little
good and
stationary. Good. Your stationary thumbnail you use there. Something about that amuses me. The ins and outs of girls with guns. That actually sounds questionable. It almost sounds like it could be a dojin.
Do that and
yeah, I see.
Looks like we're set.
Okay, I'm ready when everybody else is.
Okay.
Do I sound okay?
All right. You're good. Everyone's coming through good.
Alrighty. That is excelente.
Oh, do you notice which shirt I'm wearing?
Yep, K-On.
Mm-hmm. I am wearing a very plain work shirt, so sorry. I was late anyway.
Representing the NTR Radio t-shirt, dog.
Yep.
Yeah, I should be wearing it, but I am not.
Get your NTR shirts.
Get your NTR. I mean, get your NTR shirt.
Get your NTR here.
Yeah. Somehow that would probably be less of a good sell.
Okay. In 3, 2, hang on.
An immediate shutdown of the countdown.
Every time.
I'm telling you, NTR Radio mouse pads.
Butt mouse pads.
In 3, 2. Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Tom Forrest Anubis.
I'm K Gods.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
And we have a lot to talk about this time around.
Yeah.
First off, let's immediately throw out all the technical crap. We're a little late.
So
sorry about that.
So, yeah, we are a little late. Here's what you do. You go to, if you're listening live, that is, you go to ntrradio.net. Click on the chat link. That'll take you to a page with not only the chat box, but an embedded Twitch box where you can listen to the show live while you enjoy our IRC chat. So you give yourself a nickname in there, hit the button, and join us in the IRC. Alternatively, you can take your favorite IRC client, go to irc.ryzen.net, and join us in the #SLC media channel. In addition, we're on Twitter at CUnubis, at VZMK2, at Immortal_KGods, and you can hit up the email box at NTR_radio as always.
Wait, you just said the email box?
Yes, the email box, ntrradio@gmail.com.
Okay, I thought I must have heard wrong or something. I
must have spoke wrong.
Okay. Any case, we're we're a little late. That's partially my fault. I was hungry. Sorry. Food, does your body good.
Sometimes it does your body bad.
Food. Your cells need food. Your platelets need food.
Yeah, the platelets need food. So,
Platelets were hungry.
Or they end up being like emaciated or some shit. Anyway, we're on schedule as far as I know. I mean, in terms of the day, actually.
Well, yeah.
These last couple days have been just sort of a cluster for me because, and I'm going to go ahead and throw out and explain one quick thing here. My vehicle decided to not be fun anymore. It decided that the brakes weren't going to work very well. So what I ended up doing was having them just completely replaced, all of them.
Right.
Just the whole bit, the brake line too. It was bad. Like you would hit it with your foot and it would just go all the way down and make a swoosh kind of noise. And it would take a while to actually stop. And I'm like, okay, no more taking the truck until that gets handled. Because you don't want to be stuck out in the middle of nowhere or going downhill and you can't stop.
Yeah, no.
That would be bad. Very, very bad. So ended up getting that. It's fine now. But in the meantime, I had to borrow a car. And two things about this car. One, it had satellite radio. That was kind of cool.
Hey.
Because I don't. I have an old-ass car that couldn't get it if you wanted it. So there you go. It's actually a truck. Anyway, beyond that, though, since it's a much newer model, the controls are a lot more smooth and everything's a lot more like, tappy. You can just barely tap it. It gets really moving. And then when I go back to the truck, like today, it's like, man, this feels stiff. It's not, It's partially because it's all new brakes and everything, but also, which by the way, when they actually replaced them, two of them were completely shot. And the brake line itself wasn't very good either. So good call. And pro tip, get your brakes looked at, maybe once a year or so.
Yeah, good call.
Don't wait like I did until it's actually starting to, not work. And then you're driving around and being like, this isn't very good. I'm glad I don't have a lot of hills around here. Anyway, moving along. Anybody else have any anecdotes?
All right. So do you want to go first, VZ, or do you want me to go first? Because I actually have a bit.
I'll go real fast. I'll just show off what I got this week.
Loot. We need a drop in for loot. Like some sort of like DuckTales thing or something.
I was thinking DuckTales too. I was just thinking
like the sound of like Scrooge like jumping and swimming through his gold.
Or no, or maybe like Sonic's rings or.
Well, but we have Sonic's rings.
That one.
Okay, we have Sonic's rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's losing.
Yeah, but that ain't the same.
That's when you lose.
That's like when you're losing things. Yeah, that's when you screw up.
Okay. In the not a surprise that I got this. Nendoroid Micah from Blend S.
Lovely.
Nendoroids. Not to be confused with Yonoid.
You know what we need now? We need Nendoroid Hideri. They probably won't do. I don't think they'll do anymore. If they do, they would do the blonde twin-tailed Tsundere, but not really Tsundere.
Yeah.
Kaho, that's her name. But man, if they ever did Hideri, but it doesn't end there because I got not one but two Love Live Figma. I have Hanamaru. Lovely. And Mari. So I have all but one right now. The last one is Ruby. And then I am done. I think I'm probably gonna put a moratorium on Figma in general, just because even though I love getting that stuff, I've been kind of getting bored of Figma because I've been collecting Figma for like over 10 years. So I kind of like just want to cap it off here.
Right.
Unless they do character that I really, 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 really like or something down the line. But so I'll probably just, for the most part, be focusing on Nendoroids and the occasional robot Damashi here and there in the future.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. What do we got here? We have a comment in the in the chat here. I want them to do Trapcoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derry is such a great character. I hope that show gets another season. Just went up for pre-order today. Aniplex price though.
Yeah.
Right. So
$8,000.
So get out those entrepreneurial skills.
Yeah, exactly.
About 100, but
yeah,
which actually isn't bad for them. But
yeah, it's really not bad. It's
as far as like 8,000. It's like, why don't you just get a car and spray paint her onto your car?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So what do you want to talk about?
This should be good.
I actually saw a bunch of anime.
All right. Well, I'll let you
weeks.
go. I'll let you go talk about.
All in one spot, or
then get back to me about anime I watched. But
okay. So, I watched. I actually watched and finished Project Echo.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
the original movie.
Just the original movie.
Okay.
Listen,
that's actually
that shit was wild.
I have it, by the way.
So do I.
It's great.
Yeah. The Discotheque needs to do a Blu-ray release of that.
Oh
that
yeah.
I'd be over that. Am I mistaken? But wasn't Project Echo at one point affiliated with some sort of hentai?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. I knew I wasn't just imagining that.
It was originally going to be just another episode of Cream Lemon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought that was true, but I couldn't remember exactly.
And if you watch the episode,
wasn't Dream Hunter Ren like that too, or something like that?
Yeah, Dream Hunter Ren was originally
scheduled to be something like that.
It had more ecchi things, but then they released a version without.
Yeah, and not only that, but some of the, again, just little anecdote or side story here. Some of the characters from Hellsing were originally supposed to be in one too.
Huh.
Like some of Father Anderson.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like that. Why? That would be crazy. That would be scary. What the fuck?
If you watch the episode of Cream Lemon, Pop Chaser, that's kind of a dry run for Project Echo, because I think it was the same director.
Right. That completely makes sense. I mean, I knew there, because there was a lot of, and this is true with anime in general, there's a lot of kind of incestuous sort of like projects and stuff going on.
Well, it's like if you look at Bakuon, and then you look at the mangaka's earlier works, like the doujinshi done, all the characters from Bakuon were lifted from past hentai doujinshi.
Oh, that's the same thing for the one that does Chiyo's School Road. Who's originally a hentai artist. And
which can I just go on record and say thank you for doing that, sir? Bakuon is just lovely. It's lots of fun. I thought so.
But
it's just it's those suits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched Project Echo. I finished off Yukikaze finally.
Yeah. How long was that on the back burner?
That wasn't like a years thing. It was a couple months maybe.
How was that? Because I've heard some bad things about that, but I need your
I thought it was really good.
Okay.
Like the story is kind of out there, but as far as
it's out there, that's anime. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
I just heard that they spent a crazy amount of money at that time to do like 3D CG.
Yeah. and they did a really good job at it.
Speaking of 3D
like,
CG,
I know you're the 3D CG guy, VZ, but they did a really good.
Again,
I'm biased because I'm a fighter pilot nerd, so this is.
I just remember the episode of Anime World Order where they reviewed that too, and they were like totally dissing everything.
Well, speaking of CG though, this is the only thing I'm gonna really add because I had vehicle problems, so I had more things on my plate to worry about. But I actually finished Gundam Origin.
Oh, I still need to.
I saw the last episode 6, and it's great.
It's really good.
Like you get to see that. First off, they really stretched out that battle longer than you thought they would too.
Yeah, they did a really good job at it. They satisfy everything you possibly could want out of what Gundam the Origin is.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, and you gotta love all the little cameos that happened in the last episode too. That's great.
Yeah.
You know, you get to see Bright and Mirai and let's see who else is in there.
The kids.
Jose.
Yeah.
Ryu Jose, yeah. Yeah, the kids, yep.
Hayato shows up.
Yep. You also get to see more of Kai, who's kind of an asshole in Origin.
It's like we knew he was an asshole before, but he's kind of
you get to actually get to see it more now. Which he doesn't stay that way for those who've never really it forces him to grow up. Sort of.
He plays a semi-pivotal role in Gundam Unicorn as well.
Yeah, and he's in there. He's there in the UC a lot. You know, he's kind of. I don't like calling him a side character, but he's not one of your main characters. Usually, he's kind of in the more a support role.
Yeah, he's more in the background.
Yep, but no less important at times, unless there's like a character episode about him or something. Which like there is in the original. Anyway, continue.
I just like to call back to a previous
Origin's
episode
awesome.
of
That's
Origin. I just like how they introduced 2 teenagers just to have them gassed to death.
Yeah. In episode 5, it's like because you knew it was going to happen. You had to know it was going to happen because of what happens in the original.
It's going to happen, but it's like you're thinking to yourself, "Hang on, are they really going to introduce 2 teenagers,
these lovers kind of thing,
just to have them killed in a war crime?"
Yeah, by one of Giren's bright ideas. I mean, I still love Dozel's reaction to that. He's just like, now hear me out. My brother Giren came up with this really great idea. It's like we go and take a colony that we don't really want or need anymore, but it's still inhabited. Kill everybody in it, and then use it as a projectile. High five.
But yeah,
you gotta love Ramba Rao's reaction. Like, oh fuck that! It's like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, I finished up Yukikaze. I watched the first episode of Bubblegum Crisis.
Oh, the original, right?
Yeah, the original.
Oh, I bet that was a lot of fun for you if you've never seen it before.
It's really good.
You can see why it's a favorite of mine. Like, and now that you've seen part of it, you can understand why the Tokyo 2040 version doesn't really. I mean, some people like it, and that's all fair. It's not horrible, but you can see why it doesn't quite work though, because it's such a product of its time. The whole visual. I mean, it's so informed by kind of 80s sort of paranoia of corporations and things like that. But that's just me. The music and everything is very first you have to love Leon as a character. I mean, you really do. I mean, he's hard to hate him. He's like your trash talking cop from like, Lethal Weapon kind of stuff, or
exactly. Yeah,
always arguing with his superiors and shit.
So I'm absolutely definitely gonna continue on that because because I own it, and 2 because it's really good. I had no idea how good it was until I actually watched it.
Yeah, lots of fun. The visuals are just awesome.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful anime.
It really is. And like if you like cybernetics and all that kind of stuff,
and like that's exactly what I'm big up on. Is I'm a huge fan of power to armor specifically.
And like these boomers, the way they mutate and shit is just awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Great stuff. Highly endorsed.
And all that hand-drawn animation.
Yeah, and it looks beautiful. As good as it sounds.
All that.
Cute girls, too.
Yes.
Who does it? I've always favored Nene. You know, something about her personality amuses me. It's almost.
You would think she would be my favorite, but my favorite was Pris.
Okay, yeah. I mean, everybody likes Pris to some degree because she's just like a take no shit kind of person, and you know.
I just always liked her character design.
Yeah, it's enjoyable, and plus, you know, she has another gig literally another gig.
Yeah.
As a vocalist, you know, so.
Yeah, it's soon to tell for me, but I'm finding myself quite partial to Nene as well.
Okay, but that's me. I don't dislike any of them.
That was the one with the pink hair, right?
Yeah, she's the one with kind of the bouncy, kind of pinky red hair kind of vibe going on.
It's been
and her voice is kind of squeaky if you're watching the dub.
I remember Pris, Sylvia, and Nene. I forgot the other one's name.
Oh, yeah. Damn it, that bothers me now that you said that.
The one that's like the one that's the lingerie. No, not that. The one that the aerobics instructor. That's what she does.
Oh, the one that has sort of the butchy haircut.
Yeah.
yeah.
Lena.
There you go.
There you go.
Could not think of her name for the life of me. There you go. Anyway, yeah, it's awesome.
Especially wait till you get to episode 5 and 6.
Yeah, we'll let him get there. You know.
All right, but it's all.
I'm sure he's gonna watch it now that he's actually dove in.
Yeah,
funnily enough, and I didn't make this connection until a few years ago when I looked this stuff up and researched it. But I had actually watched a couple episodes of AD Police way back in the day, like almost a decade ago.
Interesting.
The OVA one, not the TV series, right?
The OVA, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. Because they made a. That's what I saw too. Because there was a TV series that I heard was like crap, but the OVAs are pretty good from that. Definitely from that like.
It's supposed to be a prequel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's prequel. It's very much in that.
I know I saw part of it, but it was one of those things where they had. I think they didn't have all of it or whatever. Where I saw it at. It was like one of those weird things. Like I saw an episode of it, and that was it.
Yeah, it's definitely in that cyberpunk. Well, all of it is, but
oh yeah, big time. So you know, it's up there with your. Like I said, it does the '80s element of it really shines in that sense of fear of like corporations becoming these government entity kind of things, which is
that's something that like.
That wasn't even just a Japanese thing, though.
Oh no, that was an entire paradigm for a while.
I mean, that was a worldwide fear right there.
It's one of the main tenets of cyberpunk as a genre. Okay,
it's like oh, they manufacture what now? These robot things, and you know. But they also have these scheming kind of people there that are, I mean.
But it's weird how like. The anime industry was able to predict like the bubble economy kind of
collapsing.
Yeah,
it's like and also Google. That's kind of a joke, but not really. Anyway, you got anything else to share?
I do have some stuff, so I'll go.
Is it wall to wall stuff?
Not quite, but I actually do have picked up a lot in the past couple weeks.
Where, if it's not a problem, where'd you get it from?
Some of the stuff I got through my own store.
Oh,
And then
I'll,
there's actually a story with a couple of these things. But I'll
stories
go
are
over
always
the
good.
stuff I got in my own store first. This is the Nendoroid Nagisa Furukawa from Clannad.
Nice.
So
Dango.
got that one.
What's a little Dango?
This is a Ban Presto prize figure of C2 Code Geass.
Oh, okay. Hey, I see they measured her butt.
Yeah. See, now we can actually do that measurement we were talking about years ago, K-Gods.
For those who don't know, I think we've mentioned it before, but we'll do it again for any noobs. There was a joke. Well, okay, it was only kind of a joke. We actually thought about doing this.
No, we actually did try and do this.
Yeah, we were gonna use, what was it, AutoCAD or something?
AutoCAD.
to measure C2's ass measurements and try to figure out exactly how big it actually is. Yeah.
Right, wow. But now, see, I have a pair of calipers, so we can do this.
Will we? Probably not, but
probably not now.
Because that was sort of an inspiration of the moment.
Do they have official? Do they have official sizes for her character?
No, because we looked. I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we looked first because we thought it would be a waste of time if they already told you.
You gotta do your 3 sizes, people.
I know they have her height. I know they have her height, so we can go off of that. That's a good reference.
Yeah, we were gonna see just how much pizza it took to get her butt to that level. It's like that. Now there's an algebra problem you can get people to do.
Next up,
it's like we're Z. Sorry.
This is from Alpha Max. This is Sora Kasugano from Yoshige no Sora.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like as soon as I saw that up for pre-order, I said, "Okay, I have to get a couple of these."
It was hard to tell. She's not making a frowny face, is she?
She kind of has a neutral face, the kind of face that she usually has when she's not feeling anything.
Well, ouch. No, I was thinking because right now there's this really big popular sort of trend going on where disgusted looks on their faces.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, no, that was an art book.
Oh, I know, but it's also kind of a sort of a trend right now. You're seeing a lot more of that.
I love that series.
All right. I also got both of these. This is Helvetica Standard Bold and Helvetica Standard Italic. This is an art book by Keiichi Arao. Why am I so terrible? Let's do this one.
Mission failed.
Keiichi Arawi, who did Nichijou, among other things.
Yeah.
All right.
That was actually incorporated into the Nichijou anime.
Right.
But that's the manga, right? For that?
It's weird because there are some manga pages, like little 4-koma bits, but then there's also like actual art book stuff, like a few of the is like the volume 4 jacket and stuff like this. Yeah, it's kind of a cross between an art book and a design book and an actual manga.
I love it's got the Lancelogenus on the
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to impale something, I guess.
I also picked this up because it pumps me up that we're actually getting these. This is True Tenchi Muyo, the first one of the series. Seven Seas Publishing is putting out some of the Tenchi Muyo light novels, which I'm pumped about.
Well, I know you have always had an affinity for those.
Oh yeah. All right, so story time, and there's going to be a lesson for this story. It's a good lesson. Don't worry.
Okay, so it's like, is it one of those like at the bar, bad decisions make good stories kind of thing, or
no? So, on a whim, I decided I was going to go to the thrift store because I've found some cool stuff there before, and I haven't been there in a while. So I figured, hey, I'll hit this place up,
really
see what we got. Now, the thrift store I go to they don't care there. So like all the video games, like all the PS2 and Xbox games and all that,
Whatever it
are
is,
in
it's
with
going to
the
be a singular
DVDs.
price or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a singular price, and they're all in with the DVDs, and then all the music CDs are in.
So it's kind of like
the PC
potpourri with the way
games
it's
or-
all kind of mixed in.
Yeah. So, and it's not alphabetized or organized in any
No,
way.
it's
There's
just
no
like
line.
dig through, get whatever you want.
Hey, here's an empty spot. Let's slide this jewel case in there because
All right.
because to us it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well,
So
now,
as a
now
result,
that you've prefaced that with that,
Well, so as a result, you need to, if you're looking for gems, you need to look real closely and basically scan with your eyeballs every single spine of every single CD case. And if you find one that doesn't have a spine, you just pull it out and see what it is.
old school
Take
weather
the gamble.
predicting.
Yeah, exactly. So I was scanning through that, and I found possibly two of the weirdest finds I've ever found in the thrift store. And this is the same thrift store I got the Big O and Big O 2 box sets from.
All right.
So there's been some cool stuff. I found the first Code Geass audio drama CD.
Wow.
Interesting. Of all things.
Again,
And
Cody,
I
it's not my
found-
thing, but that is funny that you found it.
The Sharon Apple album from Macross Plus,
Okay.
which I'm to understand was only released in Japan.
Interesting. Yeah.
So you have to appreciate the journey this thing
Has
went
been
through to
through.
get here, because
Yeah.
someone had to order it from Japan, then they had to like get rid of it to the thrift store, and then I had to happen along and find this weird case without a spine and pull it out and be like, what?
And what's weird about that is that's if it was a short version of it. Like it could have
Yeah,
passed a
exactly.
couple places for all you know.
Yeah, it could have exchanged hands. It could have been like this thing has been through a journey just to get where it got.
Mhm. Might
So
want to make
moral of the story is pay attention and
be like that Simpsons episode where the Japanese flu or whatever gets loose in Springfield because the guy coughs in the box or whatever.
Don't tell the supervisor.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And the other was like, I've been working with Shattered Perilous for 3 weeks now.
Yeah. But
all that. Then I got a few video games, Air Force Delta, which was Konami's answer to Ace Combat. And to spoil for you who won that fight, we're currently anticipating Ace Combat 7 in 2019, and the Air Force Delta series never made it past the Xbox era.
then there you have it.
Yep. Winners and losers. VZ, what's up?
Okay, so besides the usual stuff I've been watching this week, I saw they put up a figure on pre-order this week of a character from Wakuri Romance. And I'm like,
Yeah, that's
I'm
another
like-
anime I need to finish.
yeah. So
I know a lot of people like that one purely for the wardrobe designs, I believe.
That's basically the reason to like that anime.
That's,
Like unless you're really into jousting, and even if you're into jousting, that anime might actually piss you off because it's kind of like it's an ecchi jousting anime, so you might feel like it's besmirching jousting.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know any jousters.
well, there used to be that show on, I think it was the History Channel called Full Metal Jousting or
Yeah.
something like that, where like these like crazy people would actually be jousting like that, and it didn't last very long though.
Maybe
So,
they should have done the
that's-
Walker romance thing and had a bunch of women in armor, but not really.
yeah, there
armor.
you. I saw about 5 episodes so far. I don't know. Did you get further or less than that?
I think you got further than I did in that series.
Oh,
Well, it's like, well, if they did that in real life, though, to prevent injury, they just have like lightsaber, like the plastic lightsaber toys, but they'd be elongated. And and then there would be like a bras optional version, or
no. Assessment so far, it's a take it or leave it show. It's pretty much what you said. It's for the girls in armor.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
The design aesthetic.
No, am I mistaken? Isn't that the one where they had like kind of the Victorian kind of outfits and stuff?
A little bit, but they're like it's like they got armor and it's jousting, but it's pretty girls. It's from the same. It's the spiritual successor to a show that I really want to watch more of. That I've only seen the hentai OVAs and half the regular TV series. Princess Lover.
Yeah.
Which is recommended.
Highly recommended.
I'm making this thing where I'm like shifting my eyes. You can't see it, but
I actually like that TV series. The half that I saw of it at the time.
Yeah, I've only seen about half of it.
But
I like how big that lemo is.
It's one of those shows where it's like, just wait for the Blu-rays, because there was obvious
Yeah, that is one of those shows.
So far, but I do like the character that is the one that I saw the pre-order of. Her name is Noelle. She has like brown hair. She looks like, imagine a very busty version of Relina Peacecraft from Gundam Wing. Not as not espousing rhetoric about peace and shit.
Yeah, like, because as we all know, 15-year-old girls from a private school totally know how the world works.
Of course.
Oh, so it's just like real life. It's just like real life.
Except now they're 25 and they're in college.
Yeah, pretty much.
And yeah.
Life imitates art very well.
Yeah.
Everything else, like I said, that I'm enjoying. I think really my favorite show this season has to be Asobe Asabase. It really, just for like how the stuff that you see in it is stuff that usually isn't in anime. The type of humor.
What is there, like fart jokes or something?
Yeah, it's like fart jokes. Olivia smells because she's got
Oh yeah, I saw those pictures you were posting of that.
Yeah.
The one where like the butt in the face kind of thing, or
yeah. Well,
yeah, okay, yeah, I saw those pictures you were posting.
Yeah, that was the other girl who was farting. She had a fart and she was like, "My butt has to breathe." And then that's exactly what happens. So again, you really don't see those types of jokes. Or no, today's episode had a so they made so there was a robot of Olivia, but she was saying like these really profane things in English. And of course, some of it they bleeped out, but you know what they were saying because they like. Again, you don't see stuff like that often.
Well, what's funny about that is that's one of those things that seems to be a universal trait. One of the first things people do when they learn a foreign language is go straight to the curse words. Now, most of the time, I think it's so they can say it to people who don't know any better.
Right.
Like they're mad at their parents or some shit like that, or they'll call them something that they don't understand.
If you're looking at porn, you're gonna learn in a different language. You're gonna learn pretty fast with the terminology.
Yeah, I suppose. Unless their stuff has just different buzzwords they use than like Americans or English-speaking world does.
So everything else, I mean, Cells at Work, I'm still enjoying. Chio School Road, Cinderella Crack, all the good stuff. So I don't have to go through everyone that I'm watching, but you get the idea.
Cinderella Crack.
Yeah, that's my name for it. You know, it's short. It makes you feel good for a couple of minutes, but then you want more after.
And then before you know it, you're under the table asking somebody for $20 and no.
Just for 3 more minutes of idols.
Well, what's funny about that is I actually saw not that long ago, I've seen it before. It was a rerun. There's a really great, it's not anime related, but American Dad episode where Stan gets addicted to crack.
Oh yeah. You should.
That's a really funny one. Because first off, the best part is they have like those parodies of pharmaceutical commercials in it.
Yeah.
That's that really that cracked me up. No pun intended. It's even more funny if you actually know somebody that's been on that crap before, because you know that they actually do have those kind of weird behavioral sort of like spikes or whatever. It's not really funny, I guess. When they're like stealing and shit to feed their habit or whatever, but anyway, good times if you're not that guy.
Anything you haven't been watching anything, right?
Like I said, I did end up finishing off Origin. Still sneaking in Cells at Work.
Yeah.
Which is just very fun in its sort of creative aspirations, I guess.
Yeah. If any of this other show that from this season that I recommend is probably Sobe Asobase that you would probably get a kick out of. But you also for a straight show to the anime also.
I love how nobody's talking about that. They're all just pretending that didn't come out.
Well, there's a reason. It's because it's not no one licensed it for streaming.
So I know that, but that's on purpose. That's my point. It's just like sticking your head in the sand or your fingers in your ears. La 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 la.
Well,
this isn't actually happening.
Well, next season we're getting the almost reverse of that because it's instead of a adult woman and a shota, it's adult woman again, but a loli. And that show again, they already got their pitchforks and torch.
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't know. I don't know, man. They might think that's progressive. I don't know. You never know with some of these people.
Not in anime.
No.
Yeah, just in real life. Okay, yeah.
I've already seen the complaints.
Okay. That should be good.
You know.
I love reading these complaints. It's very similar to when it reminds you of when you have those celebrities read mean tweets things. Yeah, like how they have those on like not reality shows, but like almost variety shows or whatever. They'll have like so and so reads mean tweets directed at them or at people. That's kind of what that reminds me of. I hear, especially if I know who they are, I hear it, their voice in my head, and I'm just kind of giggling about it, laughing. It's like, because it just seems like there's an inappropriate amount of outrage for some of this stuff. Like, really, really mad to the point where it sounds like they're hitting their computer screen or something like that, or throwing stuff around. And then 5 minutes later, they don't even remember what they were yelling about.
Well, it just baffles me when they go complain about they literally say I've seen comments ranging from they're pandering to the lowest common denominator, which doesn't make any fucking sense because this is a very specific,
Right. Because if you were actually doing that, you would be trying to get as many people as possible that of a certain level of non-intellect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would be trying to reach like a large amount of people with stuff that doesn't have much in the way of any kind of substance. But this is purely a niche thing, even within anime.
Yeah.
So it's like, how could this be aiming at the lowest common denominator if only a couple dozen people are even watching the damn thing?
Again, it's because they have this weird notion of what they think.
They think everybody watches all this stuff after school.
Well, it's You know, I kind of blame the Western industry in a way, and here's why. They make it seem like the stuff is way more noticed in Japan
than it actually is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the real way
I actually have a much simpler explanation in that they approach it with a conclusion already in hand.
They have
a talking point already ready to go.
Yeah, this thing is bad, like as from some level of an objective standpoint, and now they have to justify why it's bad.
Kind of working in reverse.
When they can't actually do that, they say, "Hey, okay, we're gonna pick the most arbitrary criteria we possibly can to justify this thing we've already decided."
I don't know. I just get a laugh out of somebody screaming, "This is like show XYZ is for fat neckbeards," and then you look at them and it's like, you have a shaved head, like half of a shaved head, and like more piercings than fucking, you know. Let's not, you know, cut hairs here.
I don't know. I don't know. And part of my thing is, VZ, I actually don't know where you've been seeing the outrage for this show upcoming, because I haven't, and that must mean I'm doing something right, because
oh, okay, good.
I'm able to distance myself from this negativity.
I know the two places that and weirdly enough, they're like kind of people that are like that butt heads at each other, if you know what I mean.
Figures.
I won't say, but at the same time, they're both attacking this upcoming show. That's like, dude, you know, it's like
it's. I honestly think they like shows like this because it gives them ammo to rant about. Otherwise, they don't have anything better to do.
Well, it's like they're already dispassionate, so whenever something makes them feel literally anything.
My thing is, whenever I see what these people are into, whenever these people are into, it's always the most generic. It's either, you know, the top 10 things that everyone else says
is already watching.
Yeah, it's no. I mean, top 10. You know, like your Cowboy Bebop and Ghost in the Shell. It's like
okay.
That's their criteria, or you know, now it's like, I'm not gonna rag on it because I just don't have an interest in it. But like Hero Academia seems to be thing.
Oh, that reminds me. There was a really incredibly idiotic thing said about that recently. I think everybody knows where I'm going with this. If you saw it, it's basically like, oh, it's progressive because men cry in it or some shit. It's like you have to be new. You have to.
Yeah.
Because if you've seen any amount of any kind of
a very old thing, yeah,
shonen kind of anime or even any anime, you would know this is complete nonsensical argument.
I just got into anime 2 days ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, there are shows before you even born that had the hat. What?
Yeah.
But that's the same thing about people complaining about like lolicon pandering. It's like you do realize it's gone they've been doing that for decades.
Well, right? That's what I'm saying is I think people that otherwise just stick to your kind of Toonami stuff, go to Crunchyroll, get an account, and then see like Eromanga Sensei or something plastered on the front, and they're like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And they have like almost this weird culture shock thing. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that almost seems like that's kind of happening.
I think that's what it is. I'm almost.
Well, here's the thing: the problem isn't people who are new and come in and don't know a lot about anime. The problem is when those people
come in and start making demands.
Before come in and start making demands, come in and start acting like they know about the culture.
Okay. I mean, back in the day, that was sort of the accusation about weeaboos. Like they'd always just throw in random Japanese words when they're walking around and crap, and then they would start talking about stuff they apparently obviously didn't know what they were actually referring to.
Yeah, but sometimes,
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes some of these, you know, I won't say the names, but certain anime opinion leaders say the same exact things that even the amateur people say about this stuff.
Yeah, I've noticed that, and it tells me their investment in this is very surface level. But that, because you should know better. If you've been into it for any amount of time, even if you don't like it, you should know better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not even like you have to like this element of anime. You don't. But to pretend like you're confused that it exists after a certain amount of time, it just shows to me that you don't pay attention. It's like
exactly.
you failed at math, didn't you? Kind of thing.
And again, there's always maybe not every season, but every couple of seasons, there's always at least one of those. It's an quote outrage show.
I think that's done on purpose, to be honest. I think they like it when those kind of shows come out, because then they have something to rail against. Then they don't just have to kind of bullshit their way through a synopsis and pretend they watched it.
Remember when Asarate's toy was the big
yeah, all of 5 minutes, and then and then a month later, people are like, "What?" What are you even talking about?
Stuff like
everyone who was gonna watch the show anyway watched the show anyway, and everyone who wasn't gonna watch the show complained for 3 days and then moved on.
Words of an alcoholic.
Anyway, speaking of complaining for 3 days, we got news.
We do.
Let's use
working to restore power.
Okay, this time I'm the one making the noise and moving around.
Crunchyroll is going to be putting out their own original animation called High Guardian Spice, and a lot of people are mad about it.
Yes.
I'm gonna be real. I'm indifferent at this point, because I'm already not on board with Crunchyroll anymore.
That's
right. And I know where this is going. I mean, I can give you a pretty good idea of the course this is going to take. And quite frankly, I think a lot of people are getting their panties and their knickers in a knot for no real reason. Because I'm so apathetic about the whole thing now, because we already know that Crunchyroll hasn't done a whole lot that they should have been done, and has done a whole lot of stuff that they shouldn't have been doing. I mean, they run these award shows, they do all this other auxiliary bullshit when their player is still kind of junky.
But here's
the thing. Here's what's hilarious, K-Gods. I don't have hard confirmation, but I'm hearing that they actually upgraded their player to HTML5, so it kind of works fine now.
Oh wow. Well, then maybe I have to work that back.
It took you how many years while you're doing other stuff, while people are asking you to upgrade your web player.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
well, from everything I heard, when you played things in 1080p, it buffered really bad, and it just kind of was doo-doo. It was
if it works at all.
If it works at all, it was butt. I mean, it just
But let me.
But here's the thing: if you weren't already turned off by their player not working properly, or them censoring the Danmachi game that they put out, or the whole bitrate thing that turned out to be a mistake, but they shouldn't have made that mistake anyway, or any of this auxiliary stuff that they're doing that nobody asked for, then and High Guardian Spice is gonna be your last straw. There were 4 last straws before that you probably should have been paying attention to. But if you're not already unsubscribed from Crunchyroll, I don't expect this to
deter you in any way.
Unsubscribe.
Well, and again, the whole obvious attempts at king making, that was a thing that, I mean, I think that was one of the big things where the red flags started going up. Because it's like, rather than letting something become a bit popular on its own, there was these artificial sort of inflation kind of stuff going on. Like, hey,
I'm gonna go on a limb, and this is me being arrogant again, but I will notice that I was the only one talking about that back when the Yuri on Ice thing was happening with the Anime Awards.
Yeah, I mean, you were pretty steadfast about that. It's like, oh, they're trying to make this a thing. Like,
and everyone battled me about that, and now we're getting direct king making.
And you know what's funny about that is the funniest thing about that is it disappeared like a fart in a hurricane. Like nobody's talking about it anymore.
I hear a couple people talking about Yuri on Ice, but they're the exact
not like it
who,
was.
Like, yeah, who would still be on Yuri on Ice.
I mean, it really did sort of. I mean, it had a little bit more leverage than the stuff that usually gets tossed around as being this big deal, simply for the fact that there were kind of memes and stuff sort of floating around and forced attempts at trying to inflate it.
Yeah. So, like, here's the thing. Here's what happened with Yuri on Ice that like upset me in that way, because it stole the spot for what was the most heartwarming scene from Erased, which is a show, as far as I understand, had, if not a completely organic following around it, had at least a more organic following around it than Yuri on Ice.
Well, yeah.
Which again, and to be 100% with it, not to say that Yuri on Ice is a bad show.
No.
Spare Yuri on Ice, but
yeah, it's the practice, not the show.
Yeah, when the streaming outlet is making a big deal about how they're doing a live stream on Twitter where we're watching the last episode of Yuri on Ice in the office. That kind of makes me go, why are they doing it for that show? And as far as I know, haven't done that for any show before and haven't done that for any show since.
No, not that I can tell. Yep. So, well, okay, it's interesting to know they upgraded their player.
Yeah, and again, to be fair, I haven't tested it out yet, but that's what I'm hearing from sources that I can reasonably trust.
Through the grapevine. Okay, interesting. But anyway, to go back to this original content thing, we're not going to dwell on this too much, both for the purposes of keeping negativity at a low and for the
I think everyone has said everything that, and I kind of agree.
Well, right. It's nothing about this that's being said right now hasn't been said yet, right. and basically everybody who's paying attention kind of already knows where this is going. And I think the only real reason people have that should be actually angry is the possibility that they were using. Now, I don't know how true this is. This is sort of speculation on most people's part.
I know what you're going to say.
But they were using money from subscriptions to funnel into this project.
Right.
That's where I think people are getting pissed off. And understandably so, because it's like, hey, this isn't what I signed up for, sort of thing. I mean, now I don't know if there's any way to prove they actually did that.
Also, one character.
I'm actually really
dubious on that.
Not so much dubious, but my thing is to people complaining about that. Did you think that 100% of your subscription was going directly to the studio? Well, first of all, if you think 100% of your subscriptions is going to the studios, you're already ignorant, as insofar as that's not how the anime industry works.
No.
But number two, if you thought 100% of your Crunchyroll subscription was going back to the anime industry, I don't like. You're one of these people that doesn't understand business.
Or how money's divvied up, period.
Well, okay, so here's how I understand Crunchyroll subscription works. You have your subscription, and that's your $8 or whatever it was a month.
A month or something like that, yeah.
And then that's split up between, like, it tracks what you watch and then splits up your subscription each month based on what you've watched. So what you like the people who made what you watch get your money. But do people think that's 100% of your however much a month, because that's uh, that's so outside the realm of what's actually doable in the real world that I question how, like, that's very questionable to me that anyone would think that. But what it's seeming like is people do think that. And listen, Crunchyroll makes a lot of money, no doubt, and they have powerful people above them.
Aren't they owned by
Are-
AT&T now?
Yeah, Elation,
It's got
which is their
one.
parent company, like wholly owned by AT&T now. So they have some pretty powerful, and they're also doing the whole thing with Funimation.
Right. So industry ties.
So they're a pretty powerful entity. So not only not only is it reasonable to think they'd have the money to do this, like independently, but also guarantee you part of your Crunchyroll subscription went to pay for that show, and that's 100% okay, because I guarantee you they take a cut of that monthly subscription that's not divvied up to the studios that you're
Well, of course
that you're
not.
patronizing.
They're not doing it
Guarantee
for
you
free.
that's how it works. They're not a charity.
Yeah, I mean, like, first off, that model wouldn't even work. You wouldn't even be able to keep going.
I think we
It'd be
should.
unsustainable.
I think we should take a break.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, one more
Bottom
thing.
line, Hard Guardian Spice, not a big deal, because there were already 4 or 5 big deals previously that you should have been paying attention to, but y'all sleeping.
Also, that one character design's a total ripoff of Monica. There you go.
The character designs are another problem, but we're gonna hit up the break. Keep it right here on NTR Radio.
All right. I'll be right back.
Yeah, me too.
Roger that.
I am back.
BZ's back.
Speaking of Monica's getting a new anime.
Yeah. People are pumped about that.
Yeah. It's based on the game though that they've been doing, but that's okay.
Maybe the third's been playing some of that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I would love to play it, but it's Japanese only, and I don't know if you have that good a thing for that. You know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go through that kind of trouble. I already went through that kind of trouble to play Phantasy Star Online 2, and let me tell you, that wasn't an ordeal.
Well, like, you know, it's not an ordeal to just play is Shiny Colors.
Yeah, but like that's a rhythm game, right?
Actually, it isn't. It's more of a you gotta do certain things, but as far as like the actual game part, there's like a bar, and you gotta like because I play it on my iPad. You gotta press it right when the thing gets it there. It's like zzz, ding, and then you get perfect. If you miss that, then it's like bad.
Right.
So, but it's not really a rhythm game. But it's hard to explain because you have to do certain things, and I'm not that great at it yet. Still trying to figure out certain things. There's like certain steps you need to do, but as far as and the other one I play is the Love Live one, but that's in English already.
Right.
Gotta have more of these things come out. They got the Bang Dream one, but I didn't care for Bang Dream, so I'm not playing that.
So all 7 people who watched that show. I don't know how popular Bang Dream was, but I remember not hearing a whole lot about it.
I didn't hear a lot.
I should probably get the notebook.
So how many Nendoroids do you have?
That is 1, 2, 3. That's my 4th. Nigis is my 4th. Technically, I have one of the Umaru-chan Nendoroids.
Oh,
that is mine. So it's still in the box. It's actually
just open that shit up. Open that shit up.
Yeah, I actually have a couple figures that are still in the box I need to open up. Like I never opened up that Parfum Ray, so I still need to open that one up.
All right.
And then it's the
no, trust me, the Umaru-chan is really good because it has all these little accessories.
Yeah, that's why I got it. That's not the one either. Here's what I don't like about this thing is it splits up the Sonic CD soundtrack into like 5 different soundtracks. Here it is.
I'm back, and I came back to you laughing, so something must have been funny.
You missed the vocal riff at the beginning of the Stardust Speedway Past soundtrack from Sonic CD.
Okay, yeah, I clearly I did.
You listening? You listening?
Yeah,
Here we go.
I'm listening. Not hearing anything though.
Yeah, it's kind of low.
Well, yeah, I always play this thing though. I don't know how they got that voice to be so perfect, but it's really perfect, and it's a complete non sequitur for what Stardust Speedway is. I don't know what they're going for with it, but I like it.
Yeah, it's always interesting when somebody or a creative mind pulls out something that doesn't necessarily make sense, but it's perfect.
Or like they must have called up Seal and like, hey, listen, we have a really weird request for you, but it's gonna be amazing.
All right, though. I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Slight update. I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board with the Twitch thing because it's working, but very badly.
Oh, did somebody give you a heads up?
No, nobody gave me a heads up, but I was watching the live stream and was not satisfied at the results. Like it looks fine and stuff, but it is stopping every few seconds, and I'm not on board with that.
All right.
So, as a matter of fact, let me put out some links here.
Girls with guns. Bubblegum Crisis would fit in there too.
Right, but that's not predominantly really the kind of thing necessarily I think he's talking about.
Well, the reason I came up with this topic was like it if you think about it, it's a very wide-reaching kind of
right. But I kind
aesthetic.
of assumed you were talking more like the buddy cop kind of thing.
So I'm talking like the buddy cop thing. Expand that into Mecha Musume. Expand that into Boy Military.
Do you would like the original Burn Up?
I was gonna mention that actually.
I watched that years ago and I really liked that.
I was actually gonna bring that up in this segment actually. So
I can take that down. I can close that. Set. Let me.
Another one that had evil capitalists as the bad guys, evil corporate guys.
Yeah.
That's like.
Well, I mean, even looking at Captain Planet kind of does that. So.
Wouldn't wonder.
I mean, come on.
Well,
yeah. He loots.
He does a lot of looting.
He plunders.
He does quite a bit of plundering as well.
Got it. We'll just name them after what they do and what they are. Verminous scum.
Well, except the one guy they named after. What was Duke Nukem like the good one?
No.
Before Captain Planet or not?
I don't think so.
It's like, oh, Duke Nukem, no relation.
Just sitting there bathing out in the sun's rays, you know.
It has nothing to do with
hooking up with some of that solar.
Yeah, sitting there soaking up some of that renewable energy. You know, that thing he should be against as the nuclear power guy.
Oh, no. Instead of being,
you understand how little sense all of that made?
Yes. But I was gonna say, instead of being like pro-capitalism or being pro-social or whatever, he's pro-solar.
Ah,
he's pro-solar
with the people.
Yeah. He's pro-radiation.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to revive that franchise.
I thought they were supposed to. Did you know that? Well, there's a couple of shows they're bringing back. Murphy Brown.
Oh yeah, that's back. But also,
I've heard they're thinking about bringing Frasier back too. I don't know how that would work because the dad, John Mahoney, his character, I mean, he's dead. It's. I mean, unless they're gonna do like some really weird hologram technology, that's gonna be hard to pull off.
I know they got the She-Ra. For like Netflix.
Yeah.
That's good.
And,
Okay.
The other one.
Ready?
Yeah, sure.
In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to NTR Radio.
Pow, pow, pow. Pew, pew, pew.
Because we're talking about girls with guns.
Yes. So remember that next time you get pulled over for speeding or peeing in public.
Probably a bad call.
Yeah, it's probably a bad call.
So this is sort of a like it's a genre / aesthetic in anime that's it's got a very wide reach
for what you can mean by that.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of stuff, like there's a lot you could be talking about when you talk about girls with guns in anime.
But I think this satisfies the definition of anything we're going to talk about, though. And that's at least 2 girls, not just one, but at least 2 that are reasonably apt with firearms.
Yep.
And usually fighting off against a bunch of baddies or in sort of an 80s action movie scenario or anything like that.
Well, like when you get down to the 80s action movie scenario, that gets real specific. But it's like you could, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but there's sort of, you go through a range of paradigms as you go forward in anime history. Because you had the sort of 80s buddy action movie thing going on throughout the 80s and a little bit into the 90s. Then you sort of got a couple of these like ecchi action shows like Aika and Najika.
Right. And they
90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, and they sort of kind of fit in there a little bit. I mean, like even Aika does.
Yeah. And then sort of in there, you also have stuff like Noir and Mad Lax, which is more serious.
Oh, or I believe Kanan would probably fall in there too.
Yep.
Anyway, though, yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about. We're just it's expansive and sort of fluid enough to where you can kind of play around in it.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. It is fluid.
And
you don't want to play in it.
And guns will refer to their breasts also.
No,
we're not talking about Go Nagai boob missiles. Even though those are fun too. I mean, when I think of the quintessential girls with guns, I always think of Dirty Pair, of course. I mean, that's the first place I go. And again, that is sort of that buddy cop kind of dynamic where you're
right.
That was actually in that old thing that I'm so glad that I scanned that from that Flux magazine in the anime category. That was one of them.
I distinctly remember having an old issue of Flux. It's the only one I ever had, and it has Wolverine on the cover.
That was the issue I had.
And it's like got like a rip thing in there. And the reason I picked it up was completely non-related to anime because it had this interview, I believe, in it about Megadeth at the time, and I was really into him at the point, and I was like, oh, it's got an interview with I want to read it. I was how old? 12, 13, some shit like that. Anyway, the point is that's why I picked it up, but it did have some anime stuff in there, just as you said, and it's weird that we both had that issue. It's really, really bizarre that someone on the complete other side of the country, for the most part, is talking about the exact same one issue of a specific magazine that to me is somewhat obscure. That's just very, very interesting to me. That as soon as you mentioned, I was like, I had that same thing, but for a totally different reason. But I had that.
Look at what categories, what shows those days. Bubblegum Crisis, Burn Up.
Yep.
New Cutie Honey, which
Yep.
is the OV.
Which is, the one ADV put out that seriously needs to be rescued.
Dirty Pair. As you said. One of my favorites.
Wasn't those the who put those out? I forgot the movies and stuff. Wasn't it Streamline?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. It was the OVAs in the movie.
Right, because I remember 005 Flight Conspiracy or whatever was one of them. Because I remember the dub for it and everything. But yeah, that's sort of your Girls with Guns quintessential title. Burn Up and the Burn Up franchise is another one. It's kind of a group of police girls that are. It's more comical probably than some people would maybe think. I mean, certainly Burn Up W was.
Yeah.
It's weird because that was 4 episodes, 4 OVAs, but the first 2 were very comical, and the last 2 are actually pretty fucked up. They're dark and they're got lots of blood. Yeah, you know. But it's the same idea. It's them kind of armed to the teeth. You got like the one that's damn near sexually attracted to guns. You know, she's like they give her like this really big, like, if I'm recalling, it's almost like a Panzerfaust kind of thing. It's huge, you know, bazooka like deal, and she's or something like that. And they tell her, "Oh, you got to be careful because the recoil will break your collarbone." And she's getting excited and shit.
Yeah, it's like an anti-tank rifle or something.
Like that. Yeah, exactly. It's like this fucking huge, like, Joe Sixpack probably couldn't even lift this thing around without causing seriously injuries to their shoulders.
Right. There's another one of my favorites listed, Golf Force. I'm surprised you never saw that one because that's a Kenichi Sonata thing. Right.
Well, okay, but yeah, back in the day, you had these Girls with Guns ones. I mean, that in the 80s, that wasn't really all that different from Hollywood, except it was girls usually. It was girls instead of guys, you know, in this context.
The Plastic Little. I see, which I'm surprised that counts as Girls with Guns. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I guess sort of. I mean, the main character Tita is pretty much the main one wielding any kind of firearms or anything.
The blonde had a different type of guns,
right? And but she wasn't really very active with any kind of thing. She was more running from people who had them.
Yeah.
And taking very long, detailed baths. Thank you, Satoshi.
That's something only if I've seen Silent Mobius, which is probably just the movie because this was before the TV series.
Mm-hmm.
I like those movies, even though the plot is like because they're both like only like an hour long.
Right. And you mentioned Bubblegum Crisis earlier, which to me is a little bit different. I think that's more lasers and, you know, sort of like, I mean, there are firearms and stuff, but again, those are more about powered suits.
Yeah.
It's more.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of firing going on, but
also when you talk about Girls with Guns, it's usually weapons that aren't already integrated into whatever
like
they're wearing,
armor or whatever they're wearing.
No, they have to be holding something.
Right. I mean, like Leon's the one shooting the guns and stuff usually, or the people in the AD police that they constantly are rubbing up against.
And the last one here is something only I've seen, but this is something that really needs a license rescue because it has been Soul Bianca.
Oh, I remember Soul Bianca. They used to have the didn't ADV put some of that out?
Yeah. It even says like the company, ADV.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. Okay. Because I remember seeing those on trailers. And Silent Mobius for that matter too.
Right. Silent Mobius, that says Streamline. That was
well, right. I'm not saying it was there. They had it. I'm saying I saw the trailers for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right. And I mean that's sort of like your older idea of Girls with Guns, almost kind of like I said, the buddy cop kind of action movies thing from the 80s, which again was kind of in vogue with what was going on in live action movies even, except again, it was usually guys if it was over here, you know, it was like Schwarzenegger and, you know, Bruce Willis and Stallone and all these kind of action star kind of people sort of things.
But we could add girls to them.
Right. You know, it was, and so yeah, they were usually like special ops or.
But did they have like live action Hollywood movies, but it was like girls with guns too?
I don't honestly know. I'd have to look that up. But I do know that, again, the pretext for it was usually they're cops, they're like almost paramilitary or something, or even just some kind of special ops. That seemed to be kind of or ex cops or something,
Right.
something like that.
Yeah, it's like the cops are, or the cops are useless, so we have to, like, vigilantes. That's the word.
Yeah. Which is what I meant by kind of paramilitary, like the Night Sabers that kind of operate outside of an official, branch or whatever. That's why they always rubbed up against the AD police and they didn't like each other. I think in their case, it's probably because they were useless in the face of when things got really bad, but more so than anything else. Anyway, though. Yeah, your burn-ups. You got, I think in the 90s, it kind of shifted more toward less about the buddy cop thing, and it's more like the small squad unit.
Well, it's like the probably the last hurrah for the buddy cop paradigm was You're Under Arrest.
Yeah.
Which was kind of less girls with guns, and it was more focused on police, but there was some gunplay in that.
Got a better one. Gunsmith Cats.
Yeah.
That's
purely goes with guns.
Yes. Another good one. And that was ADV. I know for a fact that was ADV because I remember one of the very first titles I had from them had that trailer where it's got like kind of the old like Dick Tracy kind of music and shit going on when they're in the car, and it takes place in Chicago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they kind of gave it a whole different vibe and feel. And it was interesting. It's one that I don't think got much in the way of accolades beyond when it first came out. Like, nobody talks about Gunsmith Cats anymore, ever.
Well, there was that. Didn't they do a Kickstarter like real recently?
And it just got like funded or something.
Right, but between then and there, that was it. Like, you did not hardly see. I didn't even see any more trailers or things for that anymore.
No,
and it was like
outside of people who you would expect to be big up on Gunsmith Cats, there weren't many people big up on Gunsmith Cats.
No, I mean, like, even people that are pretty big into anime just didn't bring it up very often. It was kind of one of those, I remember it, and oh yeah, that was a thing, sort of, and it has nothing to do with the quality.
Oh yeah.
It was a fine show.
It was on the Encore Action Channel, believe it or not, in the 2000s.
That I could believe. That seems like it would fit there perfectly, actually.
I saw a lot of stuff. Like, they used to play a lot of stuff.
I occasionally end up popping it on demand on Stars or Encore because you can watch anime stuff there. It's all pretty much dubbed mostly, but
naturally.
In a pinch, that's still something to watch. You can watch all kinds of stuff like Death Note, Oh My Goddess, Please Teacher. That's where I actually watched that. And it's also when I realized the dub of that was kind of iffy because that's not how I remember it. But Ghost in the Shell and a bunch of other stuff. A Dirty Pair Flash. Speaking of girls with guns, although in that case Yuri holds more of a saber, is using more of a but whatever. Still the same kind of dynamic though. Like I said, the 90s though, with exception of Gunsmith Cats and a couple other things like Burn Up W, it did seem to move kind of away from that a little bit more. I think you started to see more, and maybe this is just me, but they started to bring back swords more. Like, because you had things like Slayers and,
Yeah, well, you had things like Slayers, and then you also had stuff like Lost Universe.
Lodos War.
Also another sword thing. Lodos War, more swords.
And again, it almost
was fantasy stuff even in the 80s.
There was, but it seemed like it moved more back toward that. Like because you saw more of that than
it seems like a lot of the real big 80s stuff was sci-fi and cyberpunk and guns and explosions and
was almost informed by what was actually going on in Hollywood. I mean, because you know, in the 80s, there's a shit ton of that sort of stuff, and and despite what people may tell you, Blockbuster videos were not the not
the almost defunct store
chain, but Blockbusters, in terms of movies and stuff, were actually pretty big over there.
Oh yeah.
Later, the Fantastic Adventures of Yoko. That's like the fantasy. That's like
right. There was some more kind of. I don't want to call them low key. Some ultra fan of it's probably screaming at me when I'm about to say it. Like heroic. I believe this was 90s, but it might have been 80s. I can't remember. Heroic Legend of Arslan or something.
Of Arslan, yeah, I think
Arslan, yeah.
I think that was late 80s.
Yeah, I can't remember when because I saw part of it in the 90s, but then you had a bunch of. You had like. Adaptations of Fire Emblem and things like that.
Yeah.
There was sort of another Lodoss War kind of thing. Like I think they called it Legend of Crystania or something like that.
So I know.
I know ADV had it.
I know there's two things of Lodoss War.
There's the OVAs and the series.
Figure out which one is which.
Yeah. I used to have that problem too. All I knew is it was sort of your higher fantasy kind of thing, and it had elf chicks. So. I was on board.
Yep.
You all know me too well. So, but to go back to kind of the firearms sort of vibe, I mean, Cowboy Bebop isn't really girls with guns; it's mostly guys.
Yeah.
But it was firearmed based for sure.
You know what I really wish they did, like, got more exploited more. It did kind of exist, but it never became big. It only became big for like the pretty, the Bishonen in armor, like Saint Seiya and Samurai.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking for more pure romance stuff.
I wish they did that more for girls. Girls in art, yeah, but I want like the transformation scene of like the girl. But
it just sheds off. They're completely naked, and then they.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, like almost like the magical girl thing, where they like.
Going off of that, here's what I want. I want the girls in art, and I'm not talking like I'm actually not talking like War Hero Romance. I'm not like talking like full suits of armor, and they do the transformation scene, except instead of it being magical and she's floating out in space and the armor's just pressing itself onto her, her page comes by and has to start preparing the whole suit of armor and laying it out, and then actually putting the armor on the girl.
Oh, all right. So you want it more
she has to have her squire come through with her shield.
Very nice.
Well, for me, because I'm a tokusatsu and sentai guy, I want it with like the stock transformation scene of like,
All right.
I
have her page come through and the squire with all the armor, and have that be the stock transformation scene. It takes 5 minutes.
like
the whole thing
ever so slowly putting on like your big boots, and
half the episode is homegirl armoring up with her squire,
like putting on mithril and shit.
It's the best example of what I'm talking about. Believe it or not, it's the Tekkaman Blade. It's Tekkaman Blade 2. It's the OVAs for the TV series. Because that has exactly what I'm talking about. The stock transformation with like, and it's, the girls, they're, you see everything.
Well, another thing that you don't see that also is like 80s action movies with girls for guns anime is they never reload.
They've gotten a lot better about
They've gotten
that in recent times.
Over time, yeah, they have. But back in the day, they did not. The most you ever saw was when they were prepping. Sometimes you'd see them grab their clips and things like that.
Magazine.
My bad.
A lot of. I was gonna say, nah.
Like you'd see them like get extra spares and stuff and strap them on or whatever. But like you didn't actually see them in motion, like emptying it out and
Here's the thing with a lot of anime in general. It tends to treat firearms with a lot more respect than a lot of Western media does.
Oh, that I know, because you have to believe that some of these people are gun otaku.
Well, that's the thing. Because guns are illegal in Japan, the only people who know anything about guns
are people who actually know something about them.
Act with them in any way, shape, or form are huge nerds whose thing is guns. That's the entire reason we have airsoft, because guns are illegal, but nerds want to nerd out about guns. So they
Guns over there.
Hey,
Oh.
let's
I
make
mean, like-
replicas.
I mean,
And-
like, take something like Black Lagoon. That's not, again, because it's mostly guys, but like a character like Revy is clearly that kind of character. Is a girls with guns sort of character.
Oh yeah,
I mean, which came later, but it just came to mind.
but it's like
And-
stuff like Gunsmith Cats.
That's
It and like.
and it
again,
takes place in
so-
Chicago, which has a gun problem.
Well, here's the thing. Like, it's so like Kenichi Sonoda just went ham with the entire. It's because the guns there's a lot of detail paid attention to the guns. There's a lot of detail paid attention to stuff like like places in Chicago.
He's
And
been.
there's a lot of
You have
detail
to think
paid
he's been
attention
there.
to like oh yeah, they went to Chicago.
Yeah, I
to-
figured as much because
things.
it's so accurate. And again, speaking as somebody who's been there numerous times,
You know, there's a lot of attention paid to Riley's car.
yeah. Plus, you got a lot.
Yeah.
Plus, you got to love the music.
Oh yeah, like this is what I like about gun anime in particular is just they pay so much attention to even if it's a ridiculous series like Opate, they still
Yeah.
paid so much attention to getting certain little details accurate.
Well, of course they pay attention to gun details. We live in a post-apate world.
We're in PU6, right?
It's AU.
No, yeah,
P,
post.
PU's just PU. Nobody says
PU
post
yeah.
a potty when they say a date
Yeah, it's 0006 AU.
because nobody says like P in that context. In an actual name like that, we don't say post Jeebus, you know, or
But yeah, so that's what I love about gun anime in particular, and particularly girls with guns anime.
Well, now
It's like-
we got like characters, like idol characters who are specifically things with like being fans of like airsoft, like I showed you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're just trying to. I don't know if either of you guys have seen this, but maybe they're just trying to catch some of that kind of How I Met Your Mother Robin thing, where she's like a Canadian originally, but also loves guns.
Mm.
Maybe it's one of those kind of deals where, yeah. In any case, yeah, I mean, you did see them shift from pairs to more like little units, usually smaller kind of units, I think, because you don't really see the buddy cop thing as much.
No.
Kanan kind of brought that back a little bit.
Well, you know, now it's because they want to like have a large group of girls to
large cast, and it's like,
strike
I mean,
with.
like same with like Standalone Complex from Ghost in the Shell. It's mainly just the major, you know. It's
Right.
there's no other girls in that squad except for like helpers and people that are running like the simulations and all that crap.
But I mean, like going later, you did get stuff like a Noir.
Yeah, I was thinking about that actually.
This might have been. It was either that or Mad Lax was the first girls with guns anime I actually watched.
Well, there's that studio called B Train, and
Yeah.
for years they made a whole bunch of like girls with gun shows.
Oh yeah, they call it the B Train trilogy. It's Noir, Mad Lax, and El Cazador de la Bruja.
I saw an episode of that.
And I'm so proud that you got that without screwing it up because I probably would have.
Oh no, there was another one. Avenger.
I've never heard of that one.
Me either, for that matter.
Did B Train do that? Because I think that was.
I don't know.
It's not
I-
looking that way.
I know.
Oh, wait, here it is, Avenger.
I know they did the not them, but I know in the 90s you had like Ica, which is definitely a girls with guns.
Yep.
I mean, holy shit! There's an entire squad with machine guns that are in nothing but their underwear and these black, these wonderfully
I was okay.
black vests with these fucking like bow ties and shit like that. And then you had Najika, which was the same Studio Fantasia, which is also very in the same thing. It's although under the auspices of it being like a perfume fucking company. You gotta love that.
First
It's like-
episode, they're in the mansion. Najika's running around, and all of a sudden all the maids pull submachine guns out.
Yeah, it's great. And it's like she's got like this mullet going on and shit. It's fantastic. I think she also had the little bow tie. Didn't she? She had that little red bow tie, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it's like 007, except you see their butt the entire time. You know, and it's completely ridiculous. So it's like 007.
Yeah.
I mean, like, have you seen Bond villain plots? I mean, holy shit. You can't say that isn't ridiculous.
Now, since these 80s things were like, hey, we just saw such and such, like the Terminator. Let's rip that off and
that's how we got
that.
Bubblegum Crisis.
Yeah, sure. Except it's Genom instead of Cyber9.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised they tried to do Commando. But with a female lead.
Oh yeah, it's like they took my son and I'm here, you know. Yeah, let off some steam, Bennett. No. One thing that'd be interesting about Najika though, since you brought that up, again, it's not as blatant, quite as blatant and brutal as Aika. I mean, nothing is in terms of that.
There's that, but then didn't they have the special edition that actually came with a pair of panties in the box?
Yes, when Najika first came out, ADV still had it, I believe. I think they put it out. It came with an actual pair of those white cotton panties. Because I remember Keira Vincent Davis, if you were listening to the fucking commentary, they were talking about that and how they actually wore them on their heads when they were recording their voices and shit, or something like that. It was ridiculous. It was great. I actually talked to Monica Rial, who played the I can't think of her name. I still can't think of it. The robot chick. I can't remember her name in the show.
I've been out of Najika Blitz Tactics for
a long time.
Over a decade. So
but anyway, she said that they had a lot of fun behind the scenes with that. And certainly recording the commentary where she had to clarify they weren't doing any alternate substances. It's like, no, it just sounded like you had a lot of pixie sticks or something, you know. But no, I mean, yeah. Can't you just see there being a series based off of Najika, like movies? How every couple of years we get a Bond movie.
Yeah, listen, they need to actually do that. Like
except it would be like Najika Buttfinger or something.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even want to imagine some of the villain names they'd have to come up with because.
Oh yeah, because think of the Bond names for that matter. I mean, some of the names they came up with, people like Pussy Galore.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. What would the?
Where would you go with that?
You have the Bond girl. What would the Najika guys be named?
Like, I don't know, Rod something.
Yeah, exactly.
Rod Polmeister. I don't know.
Just name him Dick.
Yeah. Just not even a last name.
Yeah, just that.
He's
Dick.
Dick. He's a dick. Yeah. Anyway,
make him the nicest guy ever too.
Yeah. Make him almost like Bruce Wayne's little butler, where he's like this kind of like this really nice. I brought your tea, ma'am. You know. Anyway.
But yeah, so.
And again, now
I couldn't quite qualify this as girls with guns because it's only one girl. But you also had Meizo DSA come out around that time.
Mm-hmm. And once it got past the 90s and started inching toward kind of like what we think of as kind of the moe boom,
yeah,
you started to see them do a lot more with that. You started to see them kind of specialize with it.
Right.
Because you started to see things like strike witches.
Yep.
And
so like the whole moe military thing sort of kind of got started in the late 2000s and then ramped straight up into the 2010s.
Yeah, and it's still going pretty strong now. I mean,
oh yeah.
Girls in Panzer, you had that, which is the tanks.
I don't consider that a girls with guns. So it's moe military, but
yeah, I was gonna say, but it is moe military.
Yeah, it's a Venn diagram. There's moe military, those girls with guns, and in the middle
is stuff like that.
Where you get stuff like strike witches, stuff like Opate.
Right, a C3 boo.
C3 boo, exactly. I'm calling it right now. Expect a Girls Frontline anime at some point in a few years, because that's real big right now.
And one of the big things you see with that, like I said, is kind of specialization, like kind of drilling, hammering down on certain aspects of it, like airsoft or flying or
there was that OVA.
Tanks and just all kinds of or upate, which is like a literal moe anthropomorphization of actual guns. Right. So I mean that's about as far as you could really take it, really. I mean, like that. How can you go any further than that? You know, when they're actually supposed to be an embodiment of an actual gun.
Oh, in Drawn Girl in the IRC comes through like a hero. Gunslinger Girl. We completely forgot about Gunslinger Girl.
Oh, yep, yeah.
Which, quite frankly, might be might just be the progenitor to all this more military stuff.
Right, but that was assassins. Right? I mean,
they were assassins. Well, they were government agents.
But that's what they made. That was their main purpose,
military,
though, right?
But not quite.
I mean, that was their main thing: hit jobs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also brainwashed and all that.
Well, yeah. I'm not saying why they did it. I'm saying the whole.
But if you want a show that really encapsulates what I love about gun anime, Gunslinger Girl is that show. Because. Gunslinger Girl, the first series.
Yeah.
He's got to clarify. He did not like the second one.
No, nobody.
They basically ruin everything I loved about the first series. Because you get the accurate representations of these firearms, and the sound design in Gunslinger Girl is so on point.
Mm.
Every gunshot has impact to it.
Mm.
It's it pops. You can hear every single bullet leave the chamber. It's so amazing to watch. It never gets old to watch. The first scene in the first episode where the gangsters are threatening the dude, and then Henrietta flips. Henrietta literally gets triggered, kills the guy, and picks out her P90 from the violin case and just starts unloading on the guys inside the apartment. Well, it's like, whoa.
You know what's really interesting, though? Even though this isn't really a Girls with Guns anime, although it's more just kind of within said anime, even Madoka kind of does this, because you have like Mami and Homura.
Homura, yeah.
And they are pretty apt with them as well. As well as both being part of that sort of like, you know, like I said, that group, like that more group dynamic.
Right.
And of course there's Noir, which we kind of already covered a little bit.
Speaking of that group dynamic though, Gunslinger Girl does that exactly. Like every girl has her specialization and her weapon. Like Rico's got the Dragunov sniper rifle. Henrietta's got her P90 naturally. I think it's either Clace or Angelica who has the AUG, that the bullpup rifle. So this is another thing I like about this genre in particular, is that it gives the girl's personality, but it also gives the weapon's personality in a way.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of what I think they were going for with Upate, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like Upate is like the exact culmination of that. It's like,
right. And one that wasn't mentioned, but I kind of remember it now, even though I didn't care for it, but it definitely kind of fits in here, is Aria the Scarlet Ammo.
Oh, right.
You know, I almost completely forgot about that show. Like it hadn't even occurred to me at all until you mentioned it.
Well, it's that's because I don't think it was all that great of a show, even though it falls into this category.
It wasn't really all that good.
No, it really wasn't. And it was one of those ones I even gave a shot.
Oh yeah, I got like halfway through that series before deciding, you know what, I'm not feeling this show.
No, it just didn't connect with me. Not really any kind of. I mean, it wasn't that I didn't like the plot or anything. It just struck me as, I don't know, just something about it didn't click. I can't even really.
They didn't do a whole lot with the gunplay, I noticed.
No, I mean it was part of it, but they really didn't. You know what
It wasn't a focus.
Here's another one we kind of missed that kind of falls into this. Kite, sort of. Something like Kite, or because she's sort of that kind of character.
Right.
And because the other ones that are from that.
Mezzoforte, I think.
Mezzoforte, to a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah. Right, and they sort of fall on here again, but they're not really the group dynamic. Those are just sort of like standalone kind of characters. Similar with not because other people don't use guns, but because they're the main girl who does.
Right.
Like Ghost in the Shell is the same deal. Her rest of her team are guys. I mean, she technically could be one too, but based upon the I'm just in a female body type.
Right.
Although, don't ruin my fantasies. No, I'm kidding. Well, I mean, I guess you could say kind of Yoko from Gurren Lagann.
How
she's a pretty gun wielding,
Concole
or Black Rock Shooter.
Kantai Collection.
Kantai Collection.
Moe Military.
It's sort of it's weird because it's definitely Moe Military, but it depends on whether you consider it depends on how you consider the whole ship armor thing, because plenty of them do hold like a facsimile of the ship's cannon in their hand, but plenty of them also don't.
I think of them in the same way I think of Girls in Panzer, in that it's Moe Military. But I think like calling it Girls with Guns is still a little bit of a stretch. I mean, it still fits in. I mean, you'll probably like it if you like that sort of thing.
It's a bit of a stretch, only for me, only because when one of the girls has something in her hand that's supposed to be a gun, it's a representation of whatever ship she is, her main cannon, or whatever cannon it is. So it's not really a gun, and also like not every ship girl has that sort of thing going on. So it's I don't consider it a Girls with Guns anime, but I certainly see where people might get that idea,
or even like it.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic anime.
So yeah, I mean, I would say more than anything else, what you end up seeing with a lot of these Girls with Guns anime, or things that are kind of on the periphery of that, kind of your, like some of the other stuff we've mentioned, because it kind of fits in sort of with that whole aesthetic.
Yeah, it's a series of Venn diagrams, and
right, but what
in the center is Girls with Guns is directly what we're talking about.
Right, and one of the things you do see is like you said, an attention to detail, similar to Mecha, in the sense that you get these people that are really big into weapons, and realistically, a lot of them even probably understand how projectile, work and things like that. In terms of, I mean, okay, sometimes they stretch it, but they got, if not, you get an idea. They have a basic idea.
Yeah.
On how it works. I mean, yeah, sometimes like these sort of shows and weapons and stuff clearly are just completely would not work in real life. They would either break or just not work as they're portrayed to be working.
Right.
But that's getting nitpicky though. The idea is like, okay, they do things like they adjust for like everything, like wind, depending on where they're at, or outside interference or gravity. I mean, they do this a lot with Mecha as well.
Yeah.
Or at least they try to. I mean, some of them clearly just don't care. And again, I'm not going to harp on them too much. It's getting overly critical of anime not being realistic is, to me, kind of missing the point half the time.
It's a fool's errand.
It's like, that's like getting mad at Super Mario Brothers for not being accurate. It's like, yeah, but do you like the game? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day.
So the whole the whole girls with guns thing really took off along with the boy military aesthetic.
Right, they kind of worked hand in hand.
There's no way even I could anticipate that the Moi military aesthetic would get as big as it's gotten.
Yeah, I mean, like go to any kind of Buru and look that shit up.
Well, it's like I didn't think that even the little armory line, little Figma weapons, would be around for as long as it's been around. Like I thought it was going to be okay. It's a cute little thing they're doing. They're making these little Figma weapons, 1/12 scale, and now they're coming out with their own Figma, and they're coming out with their own they got their own Nendoroids coming out, and like not only that line, but there's this one artist, and I forget his name, but he does this thing where like it's schoolgirls with weapons.
I know what you're talking
like
about.
Cybernetic attachments and exoskeletons and stuff like that, and those Figmas are coming out too. So it's like the more military aesthetic just ramped straight up, and that's a real good thing with the girls with guns for the girls with guns genre, because anticipate to get a whole lot more of those. And then like Strike Witches has been a thing continuously for the past almost 10 years now, isn't it? Because what was it, 2009 when the first Strike Witches anime came out?
2008.
Yeah, so Strike Witches has been a thing continuously for the past 10 years. And that's squarely inside the girls with guns paradigm. Let's talk about Strike Witches, because we actually haven't talked in depth about that.
Yeah, I mean, you do have guns.
There's another one where there's a lot of attention to detail played to not just the characters, but the weapons and
the aerial element of it.
The aerial combat and their individual, like what their strikers are based off of. Each has its own specific sound. Like you can distinctly hear each, like the BF-109 versus the P-51 Mustang. Each makes a different sound. A lot of attention to detail placed in making sure that there's respect given to each of these weapons and each of these vehicles and all of what's going into the show. Because guarantee you nerds are working on it and they care about that stuff.
Oh, for sure.
It's weird how there was all that attention to detail for that show, but Sky Girls, its spiritual predecessor, kind of was like fell to the wayside and wasn't really as worked on as well.
Well, the thing is, like, you can have attention to detail and stuff like Sky Girls, but there's nothing to base it off of. People know what a Browning automatic rifle is, and if you get something wrong with the Browning automatic rifle, people will call you out on it because they're nerds and they know a whole lot about arcane knowledge that they like, weird knowledge that they wouldn't have otherwise unless they were nerds. So it makes sense that there's a lot of attention to detail played to something like Strike Witches as opposed to something like Sky Girls, which is like, it doesn't matter if it's accurate, and even if so, what's it going to be accurate to? There's nothing to reference it to. Which is why I think a lot of the time when you see girls with guns anime, a lot of you get that attention. Well, okay, I'll go on a limb here. More often than not, in my opinion, when it comes to girls with guns anime, the ones where the guns are based off of real guns and it's going for that kind of realism, like the ones where you can identify the weapons and reference them to real weapons, are better than the ones where you can't do that, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, because they're most likely familiar with what they're actually pointing at.
Yeah.
And they're purposefully sort of doing that.
Yeah, it's deliberate. It's very deliberate.
No, yeah. Oh, son of a bitch. Sorry, I was having a moment here.
Yeah, so that's at least my opinion, is when there's something to reference it to, you get a better product because there's constraints now. And constraints, a lot of people think, okay, creative freedom and all that, but constraints feed creativity.
I understand completely.
Well, right, because because it's kind of like the argument that back in the day, people had to be a little more creative with their music because of time constraints, like with vinyl, and you had to kind of set it up in a certain way and had to be creative about it because you didn't have as much time. Like that's why you had like the sides. Same with cassettes.
Right.
And you'd have to kind of like, well, we want to end the side one this way so that it makes a good ending track and it doesn't segue into the other one to where, because then otherwise you have to flip it over and there's a time gap.
Yep.
Sort of the same idea. You have to kind of work with when you have barriers and constraints and all that, it forces you to be more economical with it, I guess is the right word.
Well, it forces you to think outside the box in order to fit inside your constraints.
Right, because if you don't, then you're just not going to be able to work within those limitations.
Right.
And again, you saw that more when you had limited. I'm trying to think of what would be the best way to explain this in like an anime context. I mean, anime itself already exists kind of in this way because it uses a lot of shortcuts. It uses a lot of, compared to like Western cartoons and stuff.
Right.
I mean, it uses, and that's partially by design, but also because of a lot of it's based off of manga, which it already exists in still shots, basically. So, yeah, I mean, people call it cutting corners, and technically they're right, but the way it's set up it works with that. It doesn't exactly. Most people that like anime don't really get on a big podium about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, most people who don't like anime get on a podium about that. Yeah. That's not usually I wish they didn't cut so many corners. That's something I hear like my buddy say who's more of a comic book regular guy.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's fine. You don't have to watch it. I mean, there's nothing here that, says you have to like this stuff. And no, I think anime operates almost like that just in general anyway. So putting further constraints on it is something that kind of comes naturally to them to work with because they already kind of work with, okay, we can't animate this. We don't have the budget for it or the time or whatever.
Yeah. And to a certain extent, it's a voluntary constraint because, again, these people are nerds and would probably do this anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, one thing about nerds is that obsessive kind of attention to detail or perfection, I guess.
Yeah.
A perfectionist kind of mentality.
Well, it's like we talked about a while ago with that one article. It's like they chase an impossible ideal and they would just want to get as close to that as possible because that's just what they do.
And like even explaining to them that they can't do it, it's just like, well, that isn't going to stop me.
Yeah, now it's a challenge.
Well, yeah, exactly. Now it's just how close can I get? It's almost like horseshoes or some shit. How this got around to horseshoes is an interesting. Girls with guns is like horseshoes,
But yeah, it's all most of the time. There are some really good girls with guns anime that have fictional weapons, but I find most of the time you get a better product when they have the realism constraint or the realistic weaponry constraint to work with. And I mean, you get stuff like Ghost in the Shell, where you have, okay, it's the Saburo M5, and what really happened was Masamune Shirow, who already is a huge nerd, just nerded out making a fictional weapon. And like, if you asked Shirow, he could explain you how a Saburo M5 works. But otherwise, and like the details are all out there, so you can look it up, and it makes sense as a weapon. So like, that's the next level of that constraint.
Oh, that's like a Shoji Kawamori thing.
Yeah, Kawamori does the same shit. So it's like where you're trying to work within realistic constraints, but make something fictional within those constraints.
Right, and I remember
so like, there's that working in those constraints, and that's how you get Opate, and that's how you get Gunsmith Cats. And then there's people who have transcended that level of mastery, and that's where you get the Shoji Kawamoris and the Masamune Shirows of the world, who make unrealistic stuff that makes sense.
I distinctly remember, I think it was Shiro who said this, who actually said that the idea behind Ghost in the Shell, and I think they were probably talking more about Standalone Complex since it's a series.
Right. Well, the whole thing's a world.
Right, but the idea was that it's in the future, but not so far that you can't see it.
Yeah.
But far enough to where there's more plausibility in some of the stuff he's trying to actually talk about, like cyber crimes and stuff.
That's what I really like about Ghost in the Shell, is that it presents this world. It presents a highly believable cyberpunk world. Like the concerns that these people have are concerns that we're actually going to have in like 10, 20 years.
That actually does strike you as plausible, like, you know, yeah. like the
stuff that's emergent now is,
or kind of in the mix,
like Ghost in the Shell stuff.
When you fast forward certain things about 10 years, like cybersecurity and stuff like that, you're going to be dealing with some something a little bit more on point at that by that.
Well, yeah, it's going to manifest in a different way, but it's still going to be the same concerns. That's what's great about Ghost in the Shell, is like Shiro captured exactly what the future would be concerned about to some extent.
Right. I mean, now granted, some of it may indeed still be far off, like prosthetics and some of that. I mean, we have prosthetics now, but like obviously they're not like smartphone level prosthetics or something like that.
Yeah, they're not quite as sophisticated as.
But that's okay. I mean, obviously it's not going to nail everything.
On a cyberpunk level, there's an argument to be made that we're never actually going to reach that point where you're like, okay, I'm going to extend a wire from the back of my neck and hook into this computer thing,
and have a chat with somebody.
Because we already have smartphones.
Right. But it's still an interesting idea, and it even has a plausibility to it.
But whenever our fingers go to stretch out, and then we could do this.
Yeah, well, that's the only prosthetic VZ's gonna do. Is he like, imagine shit posters in like the Ghost in the Shell.
I just got this funny visual of people from like 4chan or something, like, and they all are like that, but they're like wired into like a room,
and then they're
but like they're wired into their entire room. Like they literally have like an IV that's dripping Mountain Dew into them. Something like that,
No, it would be like
or Red Bull or some shit. It's great. Like the future of incels.
And there's an arm, there's like a robotic arm that just feeds like Doritos.
Oh no! It's those Mountain Dew flavored fucking Cheetos or whatever. That sounds utterly disgusting when somebody said those are real. It's like, wow, that sounds absolutely disgusting.
But yeah, to bring it back to Girls with Guns, either as like I mentioned before with the like the little armory stuff and these other Figmas I forget the name of. There's a lot of artists that just do this in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Like Haraki Fuyuno does the artwork for Little Armory. We've got Haseyu who does. Haseyu's crazy because it's these highly elaborate post-apocalyptic destroyed Tokyo landscapes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's all these schoolgirls with, again, highly elaborate, very detailed, like big weapons like M4s and M60s, M249s, like big military style and like it's some highly nerd shit because there's a couple pictures he did where they have a big dog, which is this robotic sort of four-legged Boston Dynamics sort of robot that just carries stuff.
Mm.
But like, that's what I like about the more military aesthetic in particular, but tie that into girls with guns. Like people get really detailed and creative.
What's the name of that show that came out last year that you really liked? Does that count?
That was Girls Last Tour.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You gotta love those post-apocalyptic sort of backdrops for shows.
I really like it and would like more of it, please. Because I mean, I started on Coppelion and I still need to finish it, but most of the reason I even picked up Coppelion was because of the environment.
Mm.
Like, yeah, post-apocalyptic destroyed Tokyo with like vines and lichens grow, like plants have started reclaiming it. Yeah, let's go. I Am Legend. Let's go, please.
You start seeing like wildlife coming back and
yeah, exactly.
Just totally straight out of like Life After People.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Which is like, hey, are you depressed today? No? Okay. Let's fix that.
See, I can't even find that depressing because like I have this fascination with like large scale destruction.
Okay, I can get on board with that. I understand that.
And
I can only like was it large scale destruction, but in fiction. And for animation particularly. I'm a little bit more when it comes to live action, especially realistically depicted, it's a little harder for me, only because it's like 9/11.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, but it's like once I watched, they had a 4-hour real-time 3D model of the Titanic sinking, and like they had timestamps of like the whole thing, like when it hit the iceberg and when like this bulkhead failed and the boiler room flooded, and I watched that whole thing because it was like, wow.
I was going to say something incredibly inappropriate there.
Glad you didn't.
Yeah, because it would have been pretty bad there.
But to close this out, what is your favorite Girls with Guns anime? But like, I don't even know if I can answer that question.
Yeah, I can't answer that too because I can't think of a good example. Maybe it might be like you said. It might be what we brought up either probably for. So I can only divide it between old school, new school, and modern. Because old school would be like Bogum Crisis, and modern.
Let's divide it like that then. Yeah. So
okay.
Old school and modern.
All right. Obviously,
we'll draw the line at 2000.
All right. Okay, I can work with that. All right. I'll go ahead. Old school is definitely Dirty Pair. I can't really get any better than that. Now, as for the newer ones, I don't know. I think Upate is kind of the be-all, end-all of that, taken to its most logical extreme. But maybe that's just me.
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that statement.
I mean, like, how can you go any further than that? Can you? I mean, like, unless you're actually physically having sex with the gun.
Well, they're trying with Girls Frontline, but I actually, between Girls Frontline and Opate, I think Opate pulled the whole anthropomorphized guns thing off better, because Opate represents the girls in via subtleties.
Mm-hmm.
Like LED5 is a little bit chubbier than the other girls in her team, because the LED5 is a bit of a chunkier weapon than like that.
Chunkier weapon, I like that.
But not like weird character design elements that Girls Frontline does. But VZ, go ahead and say your two, because I didn't catch the last one.
So old stuff, well, probably Bubblegum Crisis. Oh, does Angel Cop count?
Are there at least two girls and they have guns? Because
there was the one with the glasses, but she was the demolitions expert.
Yeah, that would count. That counts as far as I'm concerned, because like if you look at Gunsmith Cats, Riley's the only one who really has guns. Millie just has grenades and bombs. So hey, Angel Cop is a girls with guns anime.
Fuck and piss.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And for modern, it would be Strike Witches.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I probably like Strike Witches more as an anime than Upate, but in terms of specifically if we're trying to put it through the filter of,
as far as the concept.
I'd still have to side with Upate, but
Strike Witches is a better anime.
I think so.
Upate is a better girls with guns anime.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say here. Again, you have to work with me here. I'm slightly out of it. Been having a couple of rough days with dealing with a vehicle that decides it doesn't want to work properly, and sleep not being as good as it should be.
Maybe our next episode should be cars and anime.
So
Initial D, because I've watched like a couple episodes of that, and I can talk about Riley Vincent's car in Gunsmith Cats, but that's really about it. I don't know.
Now,
if you just want to talk about vehicles, we could throw in Bakuan.
Yeah, there we go.
Or does Redline count?
Yeah, it does technically counts. It technically counts. So I can speak to Redline insofar as vehicles and anime, and I probably won't have much good to say about it.
Oh, what was that thing that Kenichi Sonata did? That was with the car. Wow, my brain.
I don't know. I know a few Kenichi Sonata works, and I can name them off for you, but I don't know if that's a particular one. I know Riding Bean was one.
That's it.
Okay. Might again. But no, so my pick for old school girls with guns anime is Gunsmith Cats.
All right.
And that my pick for, because that's might be the quintessential 90s girls with guns anime.
Yeah, I mean, the more I was thinking about it, I was thinking that's kind of right on point with what we're sort of.
Yeah. And then my pick for new school has to be Gunslinger Girl.
Mm-hmm. And that does not surprise me at all. You're a pretty big fan of that.
There are shows that have been more creative with the girls with guns like paradigm. Like Opate was definitely more creative with it. Strike Witches was definitely more creative with it. But Gunslinger Girl is just pure execution.
Mm.
Beautiful visuals, beautiful sound design, great characters, great story. Impact. Every time every time a bullet fires, you feel it. So
it'd be good if it's good if you have surround sound.
Oh yeah. If you have
like you'll hear the shell,
subwoofer,
just like casing, just like bam, hit the ground. Or
such a well-made anime. Like Madhouse knows what they're doing.
Oh yeah, I mean nobody, even if you don't really care for this specifically, nobody's going to say they're not competent.
They know exactly what they're doing. They've always known what they're doing.
I know another Girls with Guns thing that I completely forgot. Has
Ooh.
anyone seen the movie Gun Dress?
I know what it is, but I don't think I've actually ever seen it.
That was the one that that was the one that when it was in Japan in theaters, it was like they didn't finish in time, so there was like some unfinished animation in there with and they had to like give a note of apology.
You know you're heading for awesome when you have to have a note of apology in there to preface your show. Or was it at the end? Like sorry about that.
No, I think they actually probably printed out stuff. I gotta look that up. Gun Dress, yeah.
Okay. We have sort of an announcement to come to too. Should we do it now?
Yeah. So we got some plans in the works.
We've always had the idea to do a couple of cereals.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like Kellogg's.
Yeah.
We're not gonna have NTR cereal.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Listen, all right. We had Tiger Woods a few episodes ago. Listen. NTR radios.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's terrible, man. Yeah. And instead of like a little donut, they're actually like the front of an Ona hole looking shape. or they look like tissues or something like that.
But used tissue marshmallows. Off yellow.
Cooking is magically delicious. That's disgusting.
Yeah, we're not doing that idea.
Rejected.
No. This is all very, very terrible, and it's not going to happen.
But no, we do have ideas for a few series we want to do.
And this is the first one we're going to give it a try. We're going to see we're going to kind of see how it works. If it works well, we'll continue to do them here and there.
Yeah.
But
none of these will be all in a row.
No, these are as we feel like it. That way we don't burn out on it. Yeah. That way it's like we don't feel like. So what we might do is there might be links to them to where it's just all of those.
Yeah.
Like in a row if you wanted to just follow those.
Yeah, exactly.
But these ones are going to be slightly more academic in nature. Or at least this one is, anyway.
Yeah, this one at the very least. So we're gonna try and cover, in a way only NTR Radio can, the history of anime.
It'll probably run roughly from 5 to 10 episodes. We're still kind of working the bugs out of it to figure out how we're going to do it, but that's the idea. And it's going to be kind of like a timeline, basically from the start of it to catching you up right to this moment.
Chronologically.
Right. Yeah. And it will be, chronologically. Now, we did do an 80s episode in the past, but that was us just kind of throwing the net out there.
That was us just kind of BSing about 80s anime for a while. Right.
And so technically we're going to probably recover it, but again, a little bit more of not as academic as we'll ever get. Let's just say that.
I still want to do for some time in October. Even if it's just between me and Anubis, the look back. Well, it'll be a look back for me, but for you, it will be new of Kanagi Crazy Shrine Names because it'll be the 10-year anniversary.
Oh yeah, no, I still need to watch that.
All right,
let me put that on my any list.
Yes. Speaking of what, I'm sorry to interrupt, but speaking of which, guess who got banned on Twitter?
I don't really care who got banned on Twitter.
If you ask me who got banned on Twitter, there is no part of me that knows.
Yamakan got on Twitter because I.
Oh shit!
Oh,
I'm sorry, but you have to laugh at that simply for the fact that he's such a mouthy bastard.
he can't keep his mouth shut. Everything would be better for him if he kept his mouth shut.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I have so much to talk about within the show and outside the show, because there's a crazy ton of shit that I can that's why we got to do that. We got to do that for.
So that's going to be what we're going to do, and for at least this serial, I mean, again, I can't say that without trying to think of fucking breakfast.
NTR radios.
NTR radios.
Part of a balanced breakfast.
Balanced indeed.
But what's the free toy inside?
Oh no! Don't even go there.
We're not going that far with this joke proposal. Nope. Tell you what, we're not doing.
Oh, okay, but yeah, that's going to be kind of what's on tap. It'll probably be the next episode. We might get it going. We'll see how far along we get with kind of the
with the planning stage, yeah,
schematics of it or whatever.
Schematics,
for lack of a better.
Well, so here's a question from the RSC: are you going to cover the start of TV anime or go all the way back to the early 1900s?
All the way back.
We're gonna have to decide. We're going all the way.
We're gonna
back.
do it right. If we're gonna do it, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing it right.
Yeah,
I think. So, but we'll kind of hash out how we're gonna divide it up, like into eras or whatever.
Yeah,
and that'll basically be. Now don't get us wrong. Even though we're going to be kind of sourcing this stuff, like where we got the info from, if it's relevant,
yeah.
I mean, etc. But that doesn't mean we're not going to still not be making the wisecracks and stuff. Of course we will, because that's yeah. We don't want to pull in freaking a different crowd that isn't going to be prepared for when we swap back out. So no, so that's kind of what we got on tap. We got a couple of other ideas too, some of which are we'll just leave them up in the air for now. But this is the main one we're going to try first, and if it's successful and it works how we intend it to, we'll probably do some more.
Yep.
Down the line, but this is basically it. We should probably kind of pimp out, since we're wrapping it up. We should probably pimp out some of the stuff we're actually selling.
Yeah. So this in fact begins the sort of outro thing that I have written down, but not up on my screen. So we'll see where this goes.
This file has been corrupted.
So we got shirts. If you want a shirt, get yourself to yashike.moe/store. That's where the NTR Radio shirt is. Click the link there. It'll bring you to the Teespring page. We can get yourself a shirt. They come in purple, the gray that I'm wearing now, and stark black. And you can get they come in regular t-shirt. There's a women's t-shirt as well, and there's a hoodie, which I'm not wearing because it's hot.
Yeah, give it a couple more months, and I'll probably have one. Just simply for the fact that it's going to get cold.
Yes, indeed.
It's going to get frigid, if you will.
You can also get yourself some of the Yashike shirts there at yashike.moe/store. Other stuff we're selling. VZ has a book. It's an idol art book called The Big Book of Idols. You can find it at thebigbookofIdols.com.
You can get it you can get it in digital form, or is it a hardback, or? It
is a soft cover physical release.
But it is, yeah. Okay. I've seen it. It actually looks pretty nice. And if that's your thing, it's You could do much worse with your money.
Yee.
Could buy Tekken.
Yet there? Wait, let me see.
See, I did that on purpose to get a reaction out of him. Because he's notoriously not a fan of Tekken.
I was actually in the retro game store the other day and looking at the. So I was looking for Air Force Delta Strike for the PlayStation 2 because it's the only one of the Air Force Delta series I don't have, and I didn't find it. So I figured, hey, maybe I can find the rest of the Ace Combat series because I don't have any of the ones that came out on the PlayStation. So I looked at there, and I was looking at the PlayStation section, and I caught sight of not just Tekken, but Tekken 2 and Tekken 3.
Yes. Tekken 2 with its wonderfully terrible polygon intro. Gotta love that. And number 3 with Eddie Gordo. The fact that I even remember that bothers me.
I don't know how you remember that, but
I remember. Didn't it also have like a kangaroo fighter or some shit?
Yes,
I think that might have been later.
There's also a character that's just angel and devil. It's like,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, Tekken's not very good.
Creativity, not terribly high there. Okay.
there was also like a dinosaur. Also.
Isn't there also like just a big block of wood?
So yeah, that's Mokujin. You understand? I know these characters' names, by the way. So
yeah, we noticed.
The Velociraptor is the 2-player model for the kangaroo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen.
That's all you got to say about that.
Listen, and you might be telling yourself, this guy knows a lot about Tekken for it being something he hates. And my answer to that is know thine enemy. I actually know quite a bit about Tekken. Continuing on, however, you can read my stuff at yashike.moe, where I post a lot of articles about anime, otaku culture, otaku lifestyle, etc. I just put out a really good article recently, if I do say so myself, about supporting the anime industry and why people say that, but don't actually know what that means, and why it's actually very hard for money going into the anime industry to get all the way back to the studios themselves. So very informative article. I encourage everyone to read it. In addition, Yashike has a Discord now. You can find it at yashike.moe/Discord. You can also subscribe to Yashike via email. That's yashike.moe/subscribe. And let me bring up the list here. Already covered the store, but it didn't cover this store. Shinikiba.moe is where I sell a lot of half-naked anime girl figures. Pretty soon I'll actually put up, because I got these Sora figures from my store, so I'll put up those and you'll be able to purchase one. The KikiPanda.net is a friend of mine, and he does gaming videos, anime videos, does a lot of YouTube content, does a lot of Twitch streams. You can hit him up at thegekipanda.net. We are all up on the internet, including iTunes. You can subscribe to the podcast there. I do believe we're also on. I know I put us on stuff like iHeartRadio and Google Podcasts as well. Search NTR Radio, you'll find us in some outlet or another. I just know that iTunes is particularly popular, and so that's that. Twitter, you can find me on Twitter at TEAnubis, VZ on Twitter at VZMK2, KGods on Twitter at Immortal_KGods, the show on Twitter at NTR_radio. The website is ntrradio.net. The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. And remember, love is never having to say. NTR Radio is a production of She's Lost Control Media. I'm Tom Forster, Anubis.
I'm KGods.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
And even though we need to reload every time we say it, this is NTR Radio.